The challenges are simple. It's changing people's habits. People are creatures of habits. Readers are creatures of habits. You get your news from some place that you've gone to most of your life in a lot professional lives anyway, and the habits don't change as quickly as the products that you're reading, and there's been a real decline in political coverage in Canada over the course of the last 2 decades, and we saw a void that we decided to move into. The reasons for it were simple. That there are the traditional media, as we know it, are faced with huge problems, mainly resulting from legacy costs that they face. They've got enormous investments in rolling stock and printing presses and broadcast equipment and licenses. And as the media business, as the profit models or business models are changing, they can't adapt quickly enough. And again, my reasons for wanting to start iPolitics were less about exploiting a business opportunity than filling a void in news coverage at an important time in Canadian history. The social mission is one that has sort of come about as people have described it. But as I say, I started it because I was fearful personally that the public interest was going to lose out. But also, it's a reality in journalism generally that people no longer go to broad aggregated media. You can't be all things to all people anymore when there are so many sources to draw from. For people, for that 1 million, 2 million Canadians who wake up in the morning and when they think what's news, the image of Stephen Harper or Tom Mulcair or Mark Carney pops into mind. That politics is top of mind. There's nothing. There's no sort of go-to that's not just as likely to be a story about a volcano in Iceland or that Kate Middleton's having a girl or something else. And so for political watchers, for people for whom this is really their meat and potatoes, again, there needs to be something that they can go to reliably. My focus at this point is finding the readers, finding the audience. What we then are able to provide that audience and what we will do with that audience 5 years from now is hard to imagine. And all you have to do is look back 5 years and say, we were still sort of wondering whether Facebook would knock out MySpace, and 5 years is an eternity with social media and developments in technology. If you have that audience and you can find interesting ways to engage with them, and that's really our next step. Is we've right now been mostly a one-way provider of news. There's so much more we can do and need to do with that audience that's articulate, that's intelligent, that wants to be engaged. We have to find that way to get them engaged and keep them that way. And that's so 5 years from now, I think iPolitics will be a much more interesting two-way flow of information. I'm counting on it having 1 million people who come to it regularly. We're not there yet. We're not close, but we're getting, we are growing, and we're growing about 80% a year. So if we can keep that up, we'll be where we need to be.